My name is Anthony Wood. I'm the Executive Director of the Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat. For those of you that have been with us for the whole afternoon, I think you will see that we've had a great afternoon, and it gets even better from here on in. Hopefully you've all got a drink, you're all relaxed. I'm slightly more relaxed than I was this afternoon. I want to start by welcoming CTBUH Chairman Tim Johnson of NBBJ Architects to the stage to give the welcome address. Can we put our hands together for Tim, please?
Well, good evening, and certainly thank you all for braving the weather out there to join us tonight and to join us this afternoon. I agree with Anthony. We had a wonderful afternoon with 6 speakers, 6 speeches basically, or presentations, that I think really bring together what the mission and the goals of this organization are all about. I also want to just thank everybody. It's actually an incredible honor for me to be up here giving the keynote or giving the welcoming remarks as the chair. It's very humbling. And even the fact that Chicago, in fact, was a city that I went to or came to as a young architecture student in 1987. So you generally know about how old I am. And it had a huge impact on me, coming from the Midwest, a little bit further north and west of here, to a city that has a great history of high-rise, a great city, urban city, and a great environment to learn and be inspired. So it's great to be back here. Many of you have given me well wishes in two regards. One is congratulations, the other are condolences. I'll actually take the congratulations and the best wishes. But I think what's interesting in this role is the work that we have to do as a council, and certainly all of your membership and your participation is part of that. And I think we're all here at the council, the headquarters, and myself to help serve the members, all of you, in the best way that we can. One of the interesting things about this event, I sort of tried to put it in perspective. This is obviously the time of year where a lot of you are getting invited to different galas and fundraisers and things as the year comes to a close. And in some ways, this is our gala event of the year. If you've been here before, we're obviously giving awards and recognizing our people, but this is the time for us to convene. It's time for us to celebrate. And I think this is a very important part of one of the yearly events of the council. And I know, as well as you, I look forward to seeing the presentation of the awards, as well as finding out which project was selected as the world's best. But in the spirit of a gala, I want to just go over a couple of high points for the year. We're coming off of, I know many of you I saw just a few weeks ago in Seoul. We're coming off of what was a very successful world conference in Seoul just a few weeks ago. And there were over 700 delegates, over 90 presenters. I think the content that was presented and the interaction that was there is very indicative of the success of the council. We're also coming in some ways to a bit of a close for the year in terms of understanding how well we did this year. And it's fantastic to know that every month this year we've increased our membership every month of the way, and I think we will certainly do that throughout the rest of the year. And what's important to note about that is we've increased our membership on a monthly basis every month for the last 6 years. And let's applaud that. I think there are a number of reasons for that. One, there is certainly continues to be very high interest in a boom in the tall building industry around the world. I think also the fact that how we have organized ourselves under the direction of Anthony Wood and our staff, which I want to actually get to in a bit, has been phenomenal in terms of how we've organized ourselves to be of better service to our community. And I think also certainly because of the world out there and how we all need to work with each other, collaborate with each other to create the projects that we create. I think that's all been a fantastic part of what we've all enjoyed in the 6 years that I'm speaking of. One of the things that I would just want to mention that we talked about it about a year ago at a Board of Trustees meeting was to launch a research arm to the council. In fact, we're kind of in full swing of that right now. I mention it because it's something to continue to look forward to with the council. If you think about what we've done in the past, it's about bringing people together, disseminating information, and basically being a best practices organization. But in fact, we've said, let's also get out in front of that and deal with initiatives that we think are important to the tall building industry and to our profession, and move that forward in a more specific way. So look forward to great things. Maybe in the address a year from now, I will point out a number of areas where we've done that. In fact, we have research projects ongoing within the council at the moment. I think from all of you that received the journal, the monthly newsletter, and have ever gone onto the site, in fact, I'll encourage you, if you haven't gone on our website, first of all, shame on you, but second, do it first thing tomorrow morning when you log on. Make it your homepage if you like. But there is so much rich information, and literally every day the database that we have on the website gets better and better. But what I want people to realize, because I know many of you have seen your faces here many times in the past years, I want to sort of give one snapshot of where we are as an organization, which might surprise some of you. I mean, first off, I think we need to acknowledge IIT and IIT support. Alan Krams and Donna Robertson, thank you for the support that IIT has given us and continues to give us. Chicago being the birthplace of the skyscraper and many innovations still yet to come, I think to have the relationship with the council and IIT is absolutely fundamental. And I think part of what I've discussed with research is absolutely in the bullseye for that. And we certainly look forward to a long and fruitful future with that. But also I want to acknowledge, if you didn't know this, I think this is a great fact. Working day to day for the council are about 17 people, some full-time, some part-time. But actually a lot of the things that you see and even maybe take for granted, there's a real organization that's behind that, and there's real people that are behind that. And I'd just like to, for a brief minute, acknowledge them by having them stand. All of you know, probably have seen them with originally at the conference they had on the black Council on Tall Building t-shirts. But I just like the members of the Council on Tall Building staff to stand up. I think it's important to note events like this, conferences, publications, all the things that we do day to day has quite a significant underpinning and infrastructure behind it. And I just thought it was important to note that because it's getting significant, and I think you can tell by the quality of the things that we're doing. So to move out a little bit beyond the council, out into the world, just a couple last comments. One, Adrian Smith revealed, and actually it's no secret, but he talked about the Kingdom Tower that was that's been launched in Saudi Arabia. And I mention that because it's always interesting, I think, to have that next building that we're all waiting for, we're all watching, we're all looking for innovations. And I just single that out partly because Adrian is one of our award winners tonight, but also the fact that the sort of the spirit of what we do as professionals, we always are sort of raising the bar, and I think that project certainly has that anticipation, and we look forward to watching that move forward. And one final comment, for all of you that took October 31st as a trick-or-treat day with your children, or maybe even yourself, there was another big event that happened on October 31st that I think is very relevant to the council, and I'm typically of the mind of looking for that greater good, that greater role that we can all play. And if you didn't read about it, on October 31st, the 7 billionth person was born on this planet, which I think is quite a significant event in the history of the world. But what's actually quite interesting about that is that in 14 years, there'll be another billion. We'll be talking about 8 billion people on the planet, and it keeps going. And I think why that relates well to what we're all here for is that the tall building in the urban habitat is a solution for the continued growth of our planet. And I think that the kind of things that we keep our mindset on, whether it's the details or the specific projects, that's all great. We do that day to day. But let's also keep in mind that there are a significant amount of things that are happening in the world that are going to happen in a very short amount of time. that we can all play a role in. The other thing that's interesting about that statistic is that most of that population growth is not going to happen in the northern hemisphere or in places like the US or in developed countries in Europe. It's actually going to happen closer to the equator in places that don't have serious infrastructure, that don't have as much capacity to deal with the things day in and day out. And I think that's another challenge for us, to think about how the high rise and how cities and the urban habitat can contribute to the world around us and what's happening literally in a fairly short amount of time. So with that, I actually want to turn it over to Rick Cook, who is the awards chair for this past year. And I actually feel a bit for Rick because I was the awards chair in 2006, 2007, and 2008. It was actually a fantastic experience. And I think just year in and year out with not only Rick's leadership, but Gordon Gill's leadership a few years ago, the awards program has continued to heighten in terms of quality and certainly with the symposium in the content as well. So I'd like to welcome to the podium Rick Cook. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Welcome, everyone. I'm an architect in New York, and to be the chair of the awards committee was a little soul-searching, because I think that people should really take seriously this work that we all do and really give it the time that it deserves. And I was extremely encouraged by the seriousness with which the jurors applied their efforts to looking at the work. And so to start with, I'd really like to thank Gordon Gill, Peter Murray, Werner Sobek, His Excellency Ali Al-Babar, and Anthony Wood, the other jurors. And if you could please give them a hand. I think besides the 7 billionth person being born, we've all witnessed a remarkable thing that's happened, is that we've become primarily an urban species from a rural species. We've all witnessed that in our lifetime. I do think that the tall building and the urban habitat is remarkably relevant to that. And as we deal with this amazing challenge, the first world has consumed resources at a rate far in excess of our global family. Just the U.S. is less than 5% of the world's population, yet consumes about 25% of the world's resources. In fact, that was a data from about 2004. We're down to 19% right now, and that is terrible, terrible news, because our consumption is flat. It's the rest of the world that's been growing. So we absolutely must deal with these things. So on the one hand, we have an amazing resource issue that we have to deal with. On the other hand, it's these buildings that we create, and the urban environment is about people. So a quick statistic to reiterate what Anthony said is that in an average office building, the cost of running that building, 90% in the US, is people cost. People and their benefits. On average in the US, the energy cost is 0.8%. 0.8%. So if we radically cut the energy in half, which all of us must do, I don't mean to diminish that in any way, we must cut the energy profile of all the buildings we create in half. We have to do it, it's a mandate. That's 0.4%. Yet if we raise the productivity, the health and productivity by just 1% of the people who live and work in these buildings, just 1%, which is 5 minutes a day in an average work week, then that would more than double the economic benefit. So I think the answers are still with how do people feel in the buildings? Do they feel healthy? Do they feel safe? Do they love their buildings? Louisa Hutton, one of my favorite architects in the world, although I haven't met her yet, mentioned that today, that we need to make places that we love. People protect the things that they love. So as we get into the awards, the last speaker before the meal, right after we eat, we will have our Lifetime Achievement Awards. And I really look forward to the entire awards tonight, and please enjoy your meal. Thank you.
There has been a change to the awards this year for long-time connoisseurs of the CTBUH Awards. In past years, the awards jury have decided the Lifetime Achievement Awards. But this year, we made a change, and we took that responsibility within the Board of Trustees of the Council. There are 9 Board of Trustees members, and we have quite a few of them here tonight. So I'd like to invite one of those trustees, Peter Irwin of RWDI, who I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, know. And Peter's going to come up and present the first award, which is the Lynn S. Beedle Lifetime Achievement Award. Can you put your hands together for Peter, please?
Well, thank you, Anthony, for the introduction. This is a big honor for me. I've always admired Adrian Smith's work, and Adrian Smith is the Lynn Beedle Award winner for this year. I thought I would just read out some of the requirements of the Lynn Beedle Award, and which Adrian exceeds by far. So the Lynn Beedle Award recognizes an individual who has made extraordinary contributions to the advancement of tall buildings and the urban environment. And I'm shortening up this last part here. These contributions are recognized as having a wide impact, enhancing cities and the lives of their inhabitants. So I think Adrian fulfills that requirement by a wide margin, and he is well known, obviously, for being the design architect for the current world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa. This iconic tower exemplifies his design philosophy, which is to use, in his own words, to interpret and honor the societies that my buildings serve, to forge a unique dialogue between culture and place, and to foster a strong connection to the people who see and use my buildings. And I think we've heard some of the discussion this evening about how important it is that people love their buildings and want to be in them. And I think that's something that Adrian achieves. Of course, if anyone who was here this afternoon listening to his presentation would have heard of many of the other towers that he's designed, like the Jin Mauer, the Pearl River Tower, which achieves sustainability goals that are very admirable. My personal favorite is the Trump Tower right here in Chicago. London's Bishopgate Tower, which won the CTBUH Tall Building Award for Europe in 2009. 7 South Dearborn, which, although it was never built, in working on it with Adrian, I could see how many of the lessons learned on that were used on Burj Khalifa. And of course, he's currently working on the next world's tallest, the Kingdom Tower. So, although Adrian's body of work makes him the master of the super tall, his buildings also become landmarks because they are graceful in design and they're inherently sensitive to a local context and culture. So Adrian, it gives me great pleasure to present you with the Lynn Beedle Award for 2011.
They've asked me to say a couple words, or a couple minutes worth of words. And looking across the room here, I see a lot of very familiar faces and people I've worked with for over 40 years, many of you, some of you. And I appreciate this award very much. But it's really an award for everybody that has been a participant in the relationship that I've had with them and with the buildings that we've done. It's not any one person that puts these things together. It's not any one person that builds them. It's not any one person that conceives them. It's a group. It's definitely a group effort, especially with the super tall buildings and these major buildings that we're doing all over the world, all of us in this room. And it's a, you know, the CTBUH started by Lynn Beedle, 43 years ago. I remember, because I was at SOM 45 years ago, so I remember him coming in. I remember him talking with Faz, and they got together and they said, you know, let's get something together that begins to honor these tall buildings, but not just to honor the tall buildings, but to honor the process and to show the importance of the higher density buildings that we all do in the cultures and the societies that we do them. I also, you know, just want to thank my family, Nancy, Catherine, and Jason, for their tremendous support and I know all of you have this issue where you're traveling all over the world all the time, and you leave your family behind quite often, and so I really appreciate their support and their involvement in my life when I am around. And I appreciate all of the other people here that have assisted and helped and were partners or associates and participants or clients on the projects that I had an opportunity to work on over the years. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards, so it's my great honour to now welcome to the stage one of our other trustees, who himself was a recipient of this award 2 years ago, 3 years ago perhaps. And again, it's somebody who really needs no introduction. It's one of the world's most famous structural engineers, Bill Baker from Skidmore, Owings and Merrill.
You know, it's a great pleasure for me to be here and to introduce this award. For those of you from out of 10, I don't know if you realize this, but the super tall buildings were kind of invented in this building. Fazlur Khan and Myron Goldsmith were teaching here at IIT with the students and working out these tall building ideas. The John Hancock building was originally a master's thesis done in the basement of a one-story building. How's that? Put it all in perspective. Anyway, so what we're here tonight for is the Fazlur R. Khan Medal, which recognizes excellence in design and or research that has made a significant contribution to the design of tall buildings and the built urban environment. And our winner this year is Dr. Akira Wada, and it's very, very quite appropriate that he should win this. Many of you guys saw the terrible earthquake in Japan recently. But most of the things we saw were related to the tsunami. The buildings did very, very well. You know, there was very limited damage to the buildings there, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for what happened or what didn't happen in the lives that are saved. He has devoted his career to making buildings safer in high seismic area. He's a professor emeritus at the Tokyo Institute of Technology. He's the president of the Architectural Institute of Japan. He's done pioneering work in structural systems that in buildings, including buckling restraint braces. Ask me about this later. It's a really great structural system he helped invent. He's also important in the invention and realization of damage control structural systems. So as the world gets more dense and more populated, people are moving to high seismic areas and living in tall buildings. And so the work that he's done, his research, I think it's wonderful that this award recognizes researchers as well as designers. So he's changed our industry through his research, so I'd like to welcome him to the stand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill Baker. I have to say we make appreciation to all of you for March 11 earthquake in Japan. Your sympathy and help. More than 19,000 people were killed by the tsunami. And I am very happy to be here this building is very famous. When I was a student at the university, in my textbook, this very famous building in my textbook, and there is two sheer wall. If earthquake come here, it will be okay. And I would like to say thank you, not only the people here, but also Galileo Galilei, Isaac Newton, and many scientists who develop the structural engineering and mathematics. And Maxwell is very important. He developed energy theorems. And I am 65 years old. I can arrive more 15 years. Average is 80. I would like to do best for the safer building and the safer city. Please help us, and please do with you. Thank you very much.
So as you know, if you, as Anthony said, if you're a connoisseur of the council events, we always award individuals that have contributed significantly to the council over a number of years. And we've actually are recognizing this year 3 individuals that I'll invite up on the stage, and they can make a few words. The first actually was one of the main reasons why I got involved in the council, and I can give him the credit for getting me involved and being a big part of the council, and that's Ron Klemencic from Magnusson, Klemencic and Associates. Let's give a round of applause for Ron. The second is Brett Taylor from Bornhorst and Ward. Let's give Brett a round of applause. Unfortunately, Brett is in Australia and he wasn't able to make it, so he will not be joining us on stage. And then also the last is another gentleman I had a very specific connection to with the council. He handed off the awards jury process to me, John Zils from SOM. So first I'd like to ask Ron to come to the podium and make a few words.
The baton is passed. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, just a few very brief words. First of all, I have to say what an honor and a privilege it has been to be associated with this organization. Lynn Beedle, 22 years ago, cornered me, as he cornered many of us, at a conference, and volunteered me for something. I see Bill Baker smiling and laughing, and there are many of you that know this story, that Dr. Beedle was the quintessential volunteerer. He volunteered you for something. And it's just a fantastic outcome. And if he were here today, he'd be stunned at the fact that we're all together and the people in this room representing the very, very best in the world. It's just astounding to me, in fact, to be associated with all of you. So I appreciate that. It's also humbling to me to share the podium with Mr. Zils, who I've looked up to for years. In fact, Mr. Zils offered me my first job. I didn't take it, but anyway, I've looked up to John for years as a guiding light in my career as to kind of when I grow up, who do I really want to be like? And John is one of those people who really emulates what our industry is all about integrity, about technical excellence, about delivering on your promises. And I really respect that. So thank you all for this recognition. I'm far too young to be a fellow. I have at least 20 more years to go. So thank you again.
Thanks, Ron. I think you're have taken over the volunteer role from Lynn. So I'd like to invite John Zils to the platform, please.
Well, this is indeed a very unexpected honor for myself. I never dreamed that anything like this would happen, and I want to thank the council very much for this honor. Again, it was Fazlur Khan who got me kind of interested in the organization and involved with the organization, and it's too bad he can't be with us still, but certainly I've always looked up to him. But thank you very much to the council. I'd also like to thank SOM. Through the years, SOM has been a supporter of mine to let me be involved with the council. And as all of you know that are involved with the council, it does take time. There's a lot going on, and that does take time. And SOM has been very supportive, from Fazlur Khan getting me involved to Hal Eingar, and Bill Baker also. So I'd like to thank all of them. Finally, I'd like to thank my family. Through my 45 years at SOM, they've been very supportive of me, and there have been many times when I've been away at various times and had to travel, and as all of you know, and they've always been behind me and encouraged me to do these things. So I'd like to thank my wife Carla, who's here this evening, and one of my children, Stephen, who's here, and his wife Cheryl. Thank you very much, and I love you very much.
Okay, just before we get on to the Best Tall Building Awards, we have a couple of special recognition awards. And through the term special recognition, that indicates that we do not do this every year. The first award is, can I ask for a little bit of hush? You forget I know you all by face, so I can, kind of start to name you out. The first recognition award is for actually, can I just say that neither of these people know that they're getting an award. One of them, because they're not here, but the second one doesn't know either. There's a guy who's 86 years old who lives in Iowa by the name of Norman Ramsey. And about a year or two ago, he contacted us, and he told us that he'd spent his whole life collecting information on tall buildings. And we sometimes kind of get these approaches with the Council on Tall Buildings. So one of my members of staff drove over to Iowa to find out what this was about. Jan Clerics, many of you know him. And he kind of phoned me, hyperventilating, saying, we've hit on a gold mine. And literally, this guy, Norman Ramsey, had spent his whole life collecting all kinds of information on tall buildings around the world. Pre-digital era. We're talking 60 years of postcards, books, newspaper clippings from all newspapers around the world. And I think with his wife's prompting, they decided that it was time to do something with this collection. And he knew Lynn Beedle from many years ago, so he reached out to us. So to cut a long story short, a few months ago, we sent several removal trucks to this house in Iowa, and we took collection of a really pretty special archive, which we're calling the Norman Ramsey Archive. It's so vast that we're not entirely sure what we're going to do with it. It's taken up several rooms in the basement of the building just adjacent to Crown Hall. And Norman was going to be with us tonight, but actually he's taken a turn for the worse, and he's currently in hospital, and he wasn't able to join us. Up to a week ago, he was going to join us. We really wanted to get Norman on stage and just thank him for not only donating the award to the council, but really for this dedication. And I think he's not an architect, he's not an engineer, he's not an urban planner. He is that part of the connection that the council has that sometimes we tend to forget, which are the public who are really, really interested in tall buildings, really interested to the point where they dedicate half their lives to collecting information on tall buildings. So we're not sure exactly what we're going to do with it, but we know that we've taken ownership of something really special, and it's down to one person. And so, although he's not here tonight, we have a plaque for him, and I'd like to honour Norman with a round of applause for his donation of the Norman Ramsay Archive. Now, the second award, and the person is in the room, I'll pause just so you can think, ooh, is it me? Is also somebody really special. It's a lady, and I think she's going to be surprised that we're going to get her up tonight. It's someone who has been absolutely instrumental in the development of the council, especially in the last 6 or 7 years. Some of you perhaps don't know that the council was based in Pennsylvania for most of its 43 years. That's where Lynn Beedle was based at Lehigh University. And a decision was made in 2004 excuse me, to relocate the council here to Chicago, and specifically to the Illinois Institute of Technology. And there were many people involved in that decision, many people in this room tonight, but I think one of the strongest advocators was the dean of this college, Donna Robertson. And we're choosing this evening to really pay tribute to Donna, because after 16 years as the dean of this college, she's made the decision that she's going to step down at the end of this academic year. She has been one of the strongest supporters of the council in the 6 or 7 years that I have been here. And so I would like to, and I can already see she's embarrassed, but I would like to welcome to the stage to say a few words, Dean Donna Robertson.
Words fail me. To look across a sea of people whose support of our values here at the school, I couldn't value more. And I speak for all of my faculty and alumni and students that the fact that the council is here at IIT, and the fact that I sat in this afternoon's presentations and saw that our college could, or our university could support the presentations that took place this afternoon was a great thing. I don't know how many schools of architecture get to claim this. And so it's great. And I really thank all of you for being here tonight, and all of you for supporting the presence of the council here. And IIT Architecture will always value the council being here, and I hope you will always be here. And I will always be here. I am stepping down as dean, but I will remain on the faculty, and I look forward to seeing all of you from year to year. Thank you very much, and this is a real treat. Thanks.
I think all of us have this fascination, even from being kids, of the tall building. And I've been thinking about this, and I'm a dad of two 10-year-olds, and they just love tall buildings. They're like, "Daddy, look, there's your building," when we drive over the George Washington Bridge, and there's some fascination we have about this achievement. And I think it's not too much to say that the things that we make say something about us and even our whole generation. So I'm very honored to up to speak about the winners tonight. If you'll bear with me, I'm going to put my glasses on and read exactly how we judge the Best Tall Building. So the Best Tall Building Award recognizes projects that have made extraordinary contributions to the advancement of tall buildings and the urban environment, and that achieve sustainability at the highest and broadest level. The projects must also exhibit processes and/or innovations that have added to the profession of design and enhanced the cities and the lives of their inhabitants. And for our first award from the Americas region, we have 8 Spruce Street. So being a New Yorker, I've watched 8 Spruce Street go up, and it is a remarkably beautiful facade. Having a bias, I view it, I term it as a biomimetic facade. I think as we design taller and taller buildings, we get further and further separated from nature, this thing that we love, the thing that God made. And when we make buildings that look like nature could have made them, I think that we feel an affinity towards them. So now you say, how do you make a building that looks like nature could have made it, yet it's a technological tour de force? And I wanted to say that I really appreciated John Bauer's point today about maybe 8 Spruce Street is an example of a new era of master builder. So I was amazed that John, from really one of the most famous firms in the world, credited the people who were collaborators to make this happen. So clearly Gary Partners, amazingly talented people, designed this beautiful skin, but at the same time acknowledge the collaborators from Permis de Lisa, and I know Alberto Dagobi is here from Permis de Lisa, Chrysler Borg Florman. If you know how hard it is to design and build a building in New York where the slab edge on a straight building is within a couple inches, to get a slab edge where you need it to be and the inserts in place, and actually to credit a concrete contractor in New York City. Like, if you think about it for a second, what are the concrete contractors in New York City like? Just picture that for a minute. You're exactly right. And the fact that an architect, a partner in one of the most famous firms in the world, credited a concrete contractor in accomplishing this building, I think really says something about a new era of developing the super tall building in America. So I'm very pleased to honor this building, and I've spoken only about the facade. I also think that one of the things that the building has done is draw people to an area of New York City which was very much underutilized. This particular area, we all called it Beekman Tower for a long time because of the Beekman Hotel parking lot. But this is an area right downtown, right by City Hall, beautifully served by mass transit, right on the tip of Manhattan, where very, very few people lived. And I think that maybe its greatest strength will be through its beauty and its kind of iconic quality in the skyline. It will actually draw a density of population to fundamentally change an important part of New York City. So I'm very happy to ask Joseph Rechichi, Senior Vice President of the building owner, Forest City Ratner, who will accept the award and say a few words on behalf of the whole project team. Joseph?
Thank you. I think Rick stole my thunder.
Did I steal your line?
Oh, no, it's okay. Well, actually, it's even better for Gary Partners and Gary John Bowers to credit the team for the collaboration is one thing, but for an owner-developer to credit the team straight on through, the Permis Leases of the world, the Garys of the world, the Chrysler Borgmans of the world, the Sabara concrete contractors of the world, I think says a lot about the commitment on this project that we had from day one. We talked about the curtain wall today, and certainly that's the sexy part of the building, that's the most fascinating part, that's what everybody sees. But we all know, I mean, this community out there, all of you out there know that it's a lot more than just the outside. It's what got us there, more than just buying the land and making it all work, but it's about the engineering, it's about the tradesmen, it's about the 3D technology. This project was, to me, having lived it for almost 7 years, It was a wonderful experience. I think the commitment, the integrity, the pushback from myself, from Frank himself. I talked about the momentum of different things, the serendipity. It all came together. It was a fabulous project for us. On behalf of Far City Ratner Companies, Geary Partners, and the rest of the project team, we're thrilled for this award. We thank you very much, and it's the highest privilege. Thank you.
So thank you. I would like to ask those jury members that are present with us tonight to come up and present an award. To present the Asia and Australasia region, please welcome juror Peter Murray of Word Search and the New London Architecture Center to the stage.
Thanks, Rick. Yes, so the winner from the Asia and Australasia region is the Guangzhou International Financial Center. And Chris Wilkinson was talking about this afternoon, and I think he picked up many of the issues which we as jurors also admired about this building. Its elegant form and very subtle line. He said that they aim to avoid the extruded form of so many tall buildings, and I think that incredibly elegant curve that they've put into it certainly does that. It's also a highly rational building, both in terms of the way it's organized, but also the way that it coordinates its architecture and its engineering, the way that the subtle light shows through the glass to show the diagrid structure behind. So I'd really like now to invite representatives of the project team up on stage with Chris Wilkinson, the principal of Wilkinson Eyre, who will accept the award and say a few words on behalf of the whole project team. So Chris, if the project team could come up to the stage.
I'm honoured and delighted to accept this award on behalf of the team. As you gathered, we do work as a team here, and this was a roller coaster project for us, working on a project that was way out of our league, really, and the other side of the world, different culture, all sorts of problems. But together, us and probably 100 other people have managed to put this building together, and we're very proud of it. We think it could have been better, but I guess you always feel that because you can only see the points that where we didn't quite score, we didn't quite make it. But generally, I think one of the things that interest me is that in this day and age, when you can do anything, almost everything, with computers
that we work with, the computers, the contractors use to fabricate, actually it becomes more difficult to decide what you want to do. You know, it's a strange thing because the choice is so open. And in this instance, we kind of held back a little bit, and I'm very glad that we did. But thank you very much, the Council of Tall Buildings, and I'm really just thanking you on behalf of our team. Thank you.
To present our Europe winner, I would like to welcome Gordon Gill of Adrian Smith and Gordon Gill Architecture, who was the previous awards chair for the past 2 years before myself.
Thanks, Rick. From the European region, we have the KfW Westarkade. Located in Frankfurt, this building was designed to perform at 50% better energy than the traditional office building in Europe, and has significant advancements in the exterior wall, specifically the kind of passive and natural features of the envelope that it wraps around the entire building. The jury felt that this was environmentally responsive and contextually responsive all at the same time, and goes well beyond the skin. There are many aspects of this building that we felt were very strong, including its robust color and texture and urban design aspects, fulfilling not only the tall building component, but the urban habitat component. Please join me in welcoming Axel Hinterthan, Director of KfW Bankengruppe, along with representatives of the team, and Axel will accept the award and speak on behalf of the entire project team.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very pleased and proud to accept this award on behalf of the KfW and on behalf of the whole project team, especially Louisa and Mr. Sauerbruch. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit nervous, sorry. This award will encourage us to keep on developing environmental and climate protection with our bank as we did in the past years. Thank you very much.
So to present our Middle East and Africa winner, please welcome juror Werner Sobek of Werner Sobek Group to the stage.
Yeah, good evening. From the Middle East and the Africa regions, we have the Index, a model for developing sustainable built environments in the Middle East regions, as well as other similar climatic environments elsewhere in the world. The tower offers a reassurance on the ability of modern buildings to draw on the natural strengths of their environment. The compelling feature of the towers is its intelligent integration of space, sunlight and shades to minimize solar gains. So please, we would like to invite the representatives of the project team up to the stage with Thomas Wiegand, Chief Property Officer of Union Properties, who will accept the award and say a few words on behalf of the whole project team.
Excuse me. Thank you. I accept this award on behalf of the entire project team, architects, designers, engineers, consultants, contractors, subcontractors, and everyone else that has contributed to helping the index deserve this award. Firstly, thank you to the Council and all their efforts to reward and recognize significant architectural works. Being home to the first tall building and having such a rich architectural heritage has evidently enabled you here in Chicago to be in a position to give back to the wider community. And we're grateful to you for that and for your efforts. While every team member deserves appreciation, there's two individuals whom I believe deserve special recognition in this case, in my opinion. They are His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, and Sir Norman Foster. Their courage and passion in following their vision continues to be an inspiration to so many of us around the world. We would also like to honor and recognize the thousands of construction workers who built this building, most who sacrificed comforts to provide for their families overseas. This award goes to them as well. Lastly, this award will be going home to Dubai, to all of the team at Union Properties, past and present, from the chairman, the board, the GM, down the ranks to every member of staff whose daily efforts, either directly or indirectly, contributed to achieving this award. Thank you all.
Okay. The moment we've all been waiting for, just to draw it out. Can I just say, as a member of the jury, that and actually I speak for myself, but there are many juror members here, so you can ask them if I represent the jury accurately tonight. But I think our awards program grows in strength each year. Certainly, if you judge by the number of submissions, but I'd also say by the quality of the submissions. And I've been a member of the jury for 5 years now. And I personally believe that, like no other year, and many of you have been here every year. I don't say this every year. I think any of the four could have been very worthy winners of the best worldwide overall award that we're going to announce tonight. And I think it's really important to say that, because 3 teams are going to be possibly disappointed and one are not. However, there was another thing that was amazing on the jury this year, and that was that there was unanimity. Is that a word? We were unanimous amongst the jury in terms of the overall winner. So there was a long and hearty debate about which should win the overall award, but at the end of the day, we were unanimous. And I can tell you also, being the juror member for 5 years, that that's not always the case. So to announce the best overall award, I'm going to invite the Provost of IIT, the Provost of the University, Alan Cram, up to stage to announce the best overall worldwide award.
In case you're wondering why I was chosen, it's because I have an accent also. Also, I have to say that Anthony and Donna have been trying to teach an inveterate engineer about architecture. And they think if they just invite me to do this, I'll learn something by osmosis or something. But it seems to be working, though. So the winner tonight, this is like doing the Oscars, eh? You know? Although I think I'm in the place of being the group that turns up to tell you about how everything was done. KfW Westarkade, Frankfurt, Germany, is the winner of the overall award. as you can imagine, I'm not prepared for such an honor, so I'm slightly overwhelmed. And today we talked about that how important it is that occupiers accept and love their building. And I can say on behalf of the colleagues of mine from KfW, we love our KfW Westarkade, and now we love it much more than ever. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't have any prepared words like Donna Robertson, but just to say it's a real honor for us to be here and accept this sort of best of the world award. It's strange to say. And really to thank everyone in our office back in Germany who was helping either on this building or in our office in general, and of course our engineers, WSS and Transsolar, and many other engineers on this building, and of course our client, the very important part who had such fantastic aspiration for the building and really drove us into what we believe was a great solution. And we look forward to carrying on doing more architecture.